And the trail we're going to hike today is the Union Advance Trail. Welcome back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. Today is October 31st. The temperature is 66 degrees. But you're not going to see this video until next summer because we have kind of a special hike today. We're at Antietam National Battlefield. We're in western Maryland. And the trail we're going to hike today is the Union Advance Trail. This is not the longest nor shortest, nor easiest nor hardest trail at this park. But it's by far my favorite trail at this park because it features this park's iconic Burnside Bridge, which is what you see just below us there. That bridge is named for Union General Ambrose Burnside, who led the Union advance that is featured on this trail. And I'll tell you more about that and what happened here when we get down to the bridge. This hike crosses the Burnside Bridge twice, once each direction. We just crossed it going eastbound. And this is the start of the loop portion of the Union Advance Trail. And so we're going to turn left. And we're going to do that in order to hike the loop clockwise. Now let me paint the picture for you here a little bit. It was September of 1862, the second year of the Civil War. And General Robert E. Lee knew that the Confederacy had to do something to establish itself, to show their strength. And the thing they had to do was win a battle on Union soil, which henceforth they had not been able to do. And so General Lee, he took a risk. He took his already outnumbered army and split them into two groups. He sent half of them to Harper's Ferry to capture the Union armory there, and arsenal there. That's a few miles south of here. He sent the other half up into Maryland. Well, Union General George McClellan got word of what Lee had done. He realized he had an even bigger numerical advantage than usual. And so rather than wait for General Lee to attack him, he chose to attack the Confederates. And he did. And he had them on the run. And Lee thought about retreating back to Virginia, but he chose to make a stand here at Antietam Creek. And at the end of the hike, I'm going to show you why he chose to make a stand here. And as we're walking right now, the Union would have come from the right. The Confederates would have been across the creek off to the left. That creek that you see down there, that is Antietam Creek. And so next we're going to hike over to where the Union advanced from, over to where they camped. We're about halfway around the Union Advance Trail, and here we're on a hillside east of the bridge. So here we're looking down at the bridge as the Union would have seen it. The Union soldiers would have seen it as they were making their advance on the Confederate position. Honestly, there isn't really a lot to see here. There are some interpretive signs, but that's really about it. So we'll keep going around the loop. And when we get down to the bridge to close the loop, I'll give you a shot that'll show you exactly what those Union soldiers were up against here at Antietam. We're back to the Burnside Bridge. Therefore, we've completed the loop. And we're almost to the end of this hike. I promised I'd show you why General Lee decided to make a stand here, and why this place was so important. And that reason is the hillside that you see over on the west side of the creek. The Confederates were stationed on top of that hillside. And General Lee's plan was to use that hill as a natural defense and to use the terrain and use the angles to wipe out the Union Army as they came across this creek and across this bridge and tried to charge the hill. It was a good plan. I mentioned earlier that this was the bloodiest day in the entire Civil War. But the Union kept advancing. The Union kept advancing. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Union flag was planted. The American flag was planted on top of that hill there. Some people have called this a suicide mission. In some sense it was. The Union took so many casualties they couldn't go and pursue Lee. Lee was forced to retreat into Virginia. The Union Army couldn't pursue him. They didn't have enough soldiers left. A lot of these slats on the arms of the bridge here are not original, because a lot of the original ones were used by Union soldiers to mark the graves of their fallen comrades. I do a lot of hikes at a lot of national parks and a lot of national battlefields, and they're all special places. But none of them get me quite like Antietam. I find this place inspiring. I also find it very humbling. I'm reminded of what one of my former colleagues, who was an Air Force veteran, used to say. He used to say it's a high price of freedom. But freedom always has to be defended, because there's always someone trying to take it away. I'm going to dispense with the usual outro. I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor, for parking full time. Have a great 4th of July. Have a great afternoon. Take care. Lord bless, and Lord bless, and Lord save America.